Morning everyone. I hope you're enjoying your weekend and that you're having a great Sunday. Marianne, mental health social worker and certified hypnotist, coming to you today on World Suicide Prevention Day. Just thought I'd do a bit of a vlog on the very tough subject of suicide. So I might start by presenting you all with some stats that are relevant to the Australian population. I will read them off a bit of paper because there's lots here to remember. Every year here in Oz, 400,000 Australians experience suicidal ideation. 65,000 people make an attempt to end their life, and 35,000 people are admitted to hospital for suicide-related injuries. Sadly, 2,500 Australians die every year from suicide. So that basically translates to 7 people per day here in Australia ending their life via suicide. So those stats are pretty confronting, pretty hard to digest, and just really sad, I think. And I'm sure there's many people out there whose lives have been touched in some way via suicide. In terms of my professional experience, I've worked in the helping profession for over 20 years. And during that time, I would say I've supported well over 100 people who are having some sort of suicidal ideation or who have made attempts on their life. In terms of my current experience and my private practice, I would be supporting anywhere from 1 to 4 people who are at high risk of suicide at any one time. So on a daily basis, I'm doing what we call suicide risk assessment, pretty much every day. It's something that I deal with every day. So how can we, as a community, support people who are at risk of suicide and are having suicidal thoughts? I think the most important thing is to just open up the conversation. Don't be afraid to ask the question, to ask someone, are they having thoughts? And look, I certainly wouldn't be expecting people to be going out there and doing suicide risk assessments to everyone that they're concerned about. But, in terms of our daily lives, we often come up against people who are at risk of suicide. So I think it's really important to have the knowledge and have the ability to ask the tough questions. So the three factors or the 3 questions that I generally ask in my work: is there suicidal ideation? So that basically translates to, are you having thoughts of suicide? Are you having thoughts of ending your life? Number 2, do you have a plan? Asking the questions around, is there a concrete plan? Are you thinking about ways that you will end your life? And then number 3, and this one's really important, do you intend on acting on those thoughts? So I think they're the 3 most vital questions to be asking if you're concerned about someone who is at risk of harming themselves. If all those 3 boxes are ticked, that's when I would be looking at getting some immediate support for someone. And that might be in the form of calling 000 for them or getting them to the ED. If the risk is not imminent, so if there's just thoughts and someone's, pretty low and feeling pretty hopeless, I'd be looking at getting them off to a mental health service or encouraging them to call some sort of support line. And I will list the statewide mental health services and all the mental health support lines in this post as well. So getting support is number 1. Whether there's imminent risk, obviously the immediate support, and if the risk is not imminent, the risk is not immediate, looking at still getting people off to get some support in the form of counselling and support just to deal with those risk issues. I always suggest that people link in with their GP if they have any form of mental health issues. So that's generally the first port of call. And if there's not imminent risk, linking someone in with the GP. But again, just reiterating, providing support, just asking the questions, being a listening ear, reaching out to someone, asking if they're doing okay, and providing support in a non-judgmental way, and just opening up that conversation is probably the most important thing that we can do. So keep asking those hard questions and just know that there is support out there and that you don't have to go it alone.